good evening, warm welcome to Prime Business with me, Pious Kojo Backah. Coming up, economists cast doubt about the sustainability of the Cedi's 20 pesos improvement in value against the US dollar.
Unpredictable because we are still not out of the woods yet. I think we are doing about 50% depreciation now, and I see the Cedi ending around that level.
Also, as fuel prices increase, energy strategists outline policy imperatives needing government's urgent attention. E-levy hits revenue of MTN mobile money business as the firm paid more than 2 billion cedis in taxes to government ending September this year. We've got details of these and many more in a moment. A look at our stories now. The Ghana cedi strengthened once again by about 20 pesos against the US dollar today, November 1, 2022, to sell at 13 cedis 40 pesos. This is the fourth consecutive day in which the local currency has improved in value against the American currency. The cedi sold for 13 cedis 60 pesos to the dollar this morning. Now, checks by Joy Business at the Forex bureaus also indicate that the cedi strengthened against the pound and the euro. It is going for 14 cedis 46 pesos against the pound and 12 cedis 80 pesos against the euro. The recent strong value of the local currency may be due to the boost in the supply of dollars coming from the first tranche of the cocoa syndicated loan and the likelihood of an International Monetary Fund deal before the end of December. Lead researcher at GCB Capital, Courage Buti, is casting doubt the marginal appreciation of the cedi against the US dollar is sustainable. According to him, the current performance of the local currency is only temporal, as it could depreciate during the Yuletide period. The cedi witnessed a 20 pesos appreciation to the American currency to trade at 13 cedis 40 pesos in the retail or forex market. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Courage Buti maintained the volatile nature of the currency cannot be predicted.
Trend could continue until maybe we get to the 13 cedi level, and then that is where you might begin to see some sense of stability, because that Bank of Ghana rate becomes, if you like, the floor, the lowest level it could get to now, unless there is some adjustment on the market. The thing also is that you do not want volatility really. If the cedi goes up sharply to about 15 and it's all of a sudden falling sharply to 9, 10 levels, which I do not see happening anyway, it's marks of volatility, which again is not good because it's not predictable. So I guess it might fall to the level the interbank rate is looking at now, and then maybe stabilize around that level going forward.
Now, so what would you say are
just to add.
All right, go ahead.
Just to add that we are in the Yuletide period. Seasonal demand pressures could even come up going forward, really. So chances are that this trend could even be just temporary, where seasonal demand pressures could take over again. The market would always be looking out for the next signal to determine the direction of the exchange rate, really. But at this point, I think the fast slide in the cedi has kind of ended. We should see some sense of stability from now going forward. It could appreciate a bit to a stable level and stay there for some time before the next news moves the currency. I think it is still quite unpredictable because we are still not out of the woods yet. I think we are doing about 50% depreciation now, and I see the cedi ending around that level by end of year really. It shouldn't be significantly different from the 13.5 levels by end of year as things stand. That is for me to say that there could be some more appreciation to come in the next few weeks before stability. And so if there is a reversal in trend, I should go back to around the 13.5 level as things stand now. But I must add cautiously that, I mean, the trends and the market dynamics are still very uncertain, and it's very difficult to pinpoint and figure that this is where we are going to end.
Now, more oil marketing companies have adjusted prices of petroleum products at the pumps from today. Meanwhile, energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleiman has reiterated the need for a robust local refinery, which would not only drive costs of fuel downwards, but also go a long way to control the cedi's depreciation.
Where the prices are now, it is just terrible. As a matter of fact, So where the stability will come in is to implement some of the strategies that we've been calling all along. We have very short-term strategies and very immediate short-term strategies. We have to medium and to long-term strategies. The very short-term strategies that we can have, and I think part of it that I always recommended is what I think the president mentioned, that, we can't depend on single source supply of this billion products. And why don't you diversify? Let's look at other markets. G60 states, in fact, where we are buying these finished products from in terms of Europe, most of these finished products actually are coming from the G60 states. We can also explore other places like Russia. So let's widen the net to look at other potential routes where we can get these finished products from. And bear in mind, even where we are importing this from, things are getting very constrained in Europe. And so it could even get to a time that they might also be wanting to use this product to satisfy their own local demands. So yes, but what is key is stabilizing the city. How do we stabilize the city? I think our import bill is huge. If you look at what is currently driving the inflation as we have now, it's energy costs, undoubtedly. And so what we have been calling, the other medium to long-term strategy we have been calling, is to have a robust local refinery. If you have a robust local refinery, all this impact, pressures on the dollar, I think it will have minimized. That will have been a very strong pressure relief. That's number one. Number two, if you look at US in the next month, they are trying to release about 10 million barrels to the market from their SPR, Special Petroleum Reserve, and Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now, I have been calling so many years that we have cost. We have to improve the resilience of cost in times like this. Because this is why cost was set up. So if you look at all these strategies, that we have them at our disposal, yet we don't make use of them.
Away from fuel-related stories and, of course, the cedi depreciation, telecoms giant MTN has finally admitted earnings from mobile money business has been impacted negatively by e-levy. This was captured in its third quarter earnings released to investors. My colleague George Yafe has the rest of the story.
MTN in its third quarter statement noted that what it secured from the mobile money business since the beginning of this year hit 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. The telecoms giant in the statement maintained that the slowdown in its profit of this business was largely influenced first by the introduction of the e-levy for May this year and decision to reduce the fees on its person-to-person charges by some 25% due to the introduction of the e-levy. Despite this challenge, the total number of its mobile money users was up by more than 16% to hit 12.4 million subscribers ending September this year. The contribution of the mobile money service to revenue, however, reduced by 22.8%. MTN's profit before tax ending the third quarter of this year reached almost 3 billion Ghana cedis compared to 1.9 billion Ghana cedis for the same period last year. MTN also paid 2.1 billion Ghana cedis in direct and indirect taxes to the states ending September this year. MTN over the past month had been silent on how the e-levy had impacted on its business, but it appears this third quarter earnings has given us some details on how this tax has impacted on the business.
More on communications, because government through the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization will begin sanctioning chief executives and officials of state agencies using their private email addresses to conduct official duties. According to Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Eslo Wusuekufo, the practice has been a challenge for the management of information and safeguarding the government's database. This came up at the Technology Breakfast for Public Sector Workers in Accra. Here's a report.
Government, through the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, will begin sanctioning chief executives and officials of state agencies using their private email addresses to conduct official duties. Speaking at a technology breakfast meeting organized by the National Information Technology Agency (NITA) and the State Interest and Governance Authority in Accra, Minister for Communications and Digitalization Esla Owusu-Ekuful hinted that government has procured a smart working suite from Microsoft to support the entire public sector smart working initiative. She therefore warned the public servants who are found using their private emails for official duties by next year could lose their jobs.
By the end of this year, all organizations working in the public and civil service should be on the Smart Workplace platform to use the secure email services that are on there. For starters, you use that and then you can build on with whatever needs that you have in your organization. Now, for the CEOs and public service officers, as we're writing it into the business processes in the public service, if you don't use the secure email services, you could lose your job because you're compromising the security of the entire organization's data. And we can't allow individuals to put our entire systems at risk. In other parts of the world, they've written it into the operational codes and manuals of the organizations. And that's why we're here with the head of civil service and with SIGA.
Director General for NITA, Richard Otrifosu, raised concern about the inability of agencies to use the infrastructure provided to encourage smart working. He assured that the agency is well positioned to provide all digital services for the public sector.
Government has invested in a Tier 3 national data center, and it is not shabby at all. This is a powerful investment that government has made, and unfortunately, government agencies are not taking advantage of it. Almost 75% of our customer base are private sector. Government developed this thing to help government agencies, but we are not taking advantage of it. So I appeal to you that after today's meeting, my office, my doors are open. If you want to take a tour of the National Data Center, please let me know. I'll personally do the tour. Sunday, weekends, you call me, I'll come and take you around so that you can see the infrastructure that government has built, that we are not taking advantage of it. But I would say that if it's good for private sector, it's definitely good for government. So we should embrace it and take advantage of it.
The State Interest and Governance Authority has charged Chief Executive of all the agencies to ensure that their institutions are on board the smart working space to reduce cost of operations.
Now, players in the rice value chain within the African continent have resolved to build a robust framework that will ensure a sustainable way of reducing the import bill of rice within the sub-region. Speaking at a stakeholder meeting and the launch of the Competitive Africa Rice Platform, Ghana, Chief Director of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Robert Nkoria, urged players in the sector to support the consumption of locally produced rice to help reduce the high import bill being recorded in the country. There is more in the following report.
Over 9 million tons of rice are imported into the West African sub-region, representing about $3.4 billion of import bill in 2021. Speaking at the stakeholder meeting in the launch of the Competitive Africa Rice Platform Ghana, Chief Director of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Robert Nkoria, urged players in the rice value chain to help support the consumption of locally produced rice in the country to reduce the high import bill.
Now, Ghana's local rice now is very competitive all over. You can hardly even tell the difference from the imported rice. There's been a lot of improvement in the packaging, the quality, and that is what is important. The ministry, under its mechanization program, has imported a lot of milling equipment, so that, that's critical. If you are going to be competitive, you should be able to mill your rice in such a way that you get the best quality. A lot of it has been imported as part of our mechanization program, and farmers now, at least comparatively, have easy access to these millers.
Chairman of the Competitive Africa Rice Platform Ghana, who is also the convener of the Rice Millers Association of Ghana, Yao Edupoku, stated that local rice farmers are facing difficulties leading to the destruction of their rice at the farm gates due to the lack of storage facilities.
Our yield on the farm is nothing to write home about, and so our price keep on rising even above the import ones, because we are not getting the right yield. After that, the harvest is not well looked after, and so we have a big percentage of it going into waste. And that also tells on the price that comes to the market. Once we have storage facilities, which we had been talking and advocating all this while, we will be able to get that one out of the way. And then rice could be accessed throughout the year.
On her part, British High Commissioner to Ghana, Her Excellency Harriet Thompson, pledged her commitment to support the localization of rice production to meet the demand from the continent.
The UK government's commitment to supporting domestic production, regional trade and domestic production of rice right here in West Africa. When I came to Ghana, I was amazed by some of the figures around this. £2.6 billion sterling of rice are imported into West Africa. That's money that could stay here, that's jobs that could be created here. So we're really happy to be supporting this collaborative effort here today.
Now, Amansia West Rural Bank is extending its representation in the financial market by rebranding to Amansia Rural Bank PLC. The new brand representation is geared towards resonating with all target communities of the bank in the Amansia enclave of the Ashanti region. Board Chairman Ben Kwache Adiafe is confident the new image will revitalize the bank's operations and deliver higher returns to the business. Nanaya Ojima was at the unveiling of the annual general meeting and has come through with this report.
Amansia Rural Bank started operating in 1983. The bank presently has a total investment of over 210 million cedis. Management of the bank has, since its inception, managed to keep it in profitability. Board Chairman Ben Kwache Adiefe says the rebranding is to keep up with modern banking trends.
We are also doing so to renew our corporate identity in terms of our products and our services, in terms of our color, in terms of our performance, in terms of the relationship that will exist between the bank and its stakeholders. We are also doing so to revitalize the operations of the bank to be efficient and deliver higher returns to the various stakeholders. Indeed, we have been very careful and very prudent in making sure that all that we are doing will not be a waste.
At the bank's annual general meeting, a 16% increase in profit margins was announced, representing 55.8 million cedis for the 2021 financial year. Investments stand at over 83.2 million cedis, representing a 9.15% rise from the previous year. Despite economic challenges in the year, a total dividend of 926,000 will be paid to shareholders. Frederick Kwachiche is Chief Executive Officer.
We were able to pull this profit due to hard work, increasing our revenues from a lot of commissions and then also credit and investments. And then also we were able to curtail the expenditure, and that catapulted us to obtain a favorable profit in the year 2022.
Meanwhile, Board Chairman Mr. Kwache Adiefe has assured customers of better service in the coming years.
We want to assure our customers, our shareholders in general, and all stakeholders that we will make sure whatever deposit that they make with their bank will be protected. In fact, we have a very strong and dedicated board which also advises and gives directions to management. And management is also well out to also implement whatever decisions and advice that we also give them.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Moving on to some other stories, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority has engaged stakeholders on the need to add value to their produce in order to benefit from the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The Stakeholders Forum also forms part of the government's agenda for every district to identify one exportable product under the National Export Development Strategy. There's more in the following reports.
The forum was made up of farmers, aggregators, processors, distributors, and exporters. According to Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA, the forum is to bring the essence of African Continental Free Trade Agreement (AFTA) and National Export Development Strategy to stakeholders. Chris Amponsa Saki is the OT and Volta Regional Director for GEPA. According to him, the country has not made much gains from exporting raw materials, hence the need to add value to the produce before taking them out to other countries.
We realize that for the people to understand what the net is about and to prep themselves to take advantage of the net, and then after, we need to go down to the districts. And that is the reason why we are here today. So we brought all the actors here. We have the farmers, we have the processors, we have aggregators, and we have the distributors, the exporters here as well. So we are coming to sensitize them and to also find ways and means by which we can support them to expand their businesses so that we can export a lot more.
He is urging farmers in the region to form unions in their various product areas so they can benefit from various packages for farmers rather than applying for such as individuals.
If you are able to develop products in your respective districts, we would ensure that we get you the market. We get you the market. So that challenge that you face when you produce anything will no longer be there because we would get you the market. And that is what Ghana Export Promotion Authority, that's what we do. And we want to sign an MOU with you to show you or to tell you that we mean business. If Ghana Export Promotion Authority wants to support farmers, we always want to do that through associations. We always want them to form cooperatives so that when we are helping them, the help is able to reach so many people rather than helping individuals. And so we entreat farmers to form associations, to come together as cooperatives so that we can support them. Even when it comes to training as well, that Ghana Export Promotion Authority has the GEPA Export School that we organize. We can target some of these people and then offer training to them. And that is the reason why we are calling on all farmers to come together so that their challenge, their needs can be addressed by the agencies that matter.
Some participants have been sharing their experiences with Joy Business.
At first, I don't know anything about my packaging, so I don't get access to market. But now I've learned much more about how to package and how to sell to my customers.
I am a rice farmer and a processor, and I also do mechanization. Today's program has been a very effective one for me because I've learned a lot of things. I've networked with a lot of people here because there are a lot of actors who are here, and I've also learned about how to work to get my products which I can export. Because I do processing, I've not done a lot of registration like FDA and other certifications. But from here, I've learned a lot where to go, how to go about it, and I think it is going to help me a lot. This is what I really need.
Peter Sanu for Joy Business.
And that's all in this package by way of Prime Business with me, Pious Kojo Backah. For more news, feel free to log on to myjoyonline.com/business.